The Dakota Access Pipeline fight continues and is finally getting some notice from the presidential candidates. Well, okay, maybe one of them. And no, it's not Hillary Clinton. No, it's not Donald Trump. Come on, seriously? No, not Gary Johnson. So who does that leave? Naturally, that leaves Jill Stein, the Green Party candidate. Now, Jill Stein had stopped by to protest, to join the protesters against the Dakota Access Pipeline. Now, I have a little bit of a video from her visit, and where she might have done something wrong in trying to do something right.
Gonna get fancy. Looks like a snake.
Yeah, it looks like the snake.
All right, so as you can see, there's Jill Stein making her mark. But seriously, what that says, I think, is I approve of this message. So that's good. That's funny. Now, some of you watching this might think that, oh, yeah, you know, she's there for a photo op. Actually, she was invited. Okay, and she was actually invited to do that, to do civil disobedience. And see, that's what she does. Like, I don't think a lot of you realize, or some of you in the corporate media don't realize, that she is an activist. This is what she does. She's always been an activist. In fact, I remember back in 2012 when she got arrested for trying to get into the debates, being locked out of the debates and doing civil disobedience and getting arrested for it. This is who Jill Stein is. Like her or not, and whether you think she's qualified or not to be president of the United States, well, you still have to give her credit for being an activist. That's what she does. She fights for the causes that she believes in, right? And she will do civil disobedience to do so. Now, those of you who have done civil disobedience, you know that it doesn't come without a price. Now, she's actually getting charged for spray painting that bulldozer, okay? That bulldozer. So she may end up facing criminal charges of vandalism and perhaps trespassing by the local authorities. Okay, so as I said, civil disobedience has a price. Okay. Now, that's where I give her credit for doing that civil disobedience, because I think that's an effective way to get your message across, as long as it's nonviolent. I'm not really happy about destruction of property, but there really is no destruction there. In fact, the people's property that's being destroyed is the Native Americans, okay, that are there, and not necessarily property as in land, but as in artifacts. And I'll get to that in a minute. But first, I gotta ask, this has been going on for a while. Where's Hillary Clinton? Where's Barack Obama? Where's the corporate media? Now, throughout this whole thing, most of them have been quite silent. Now, there's an exception to that, and I've got to give him credit here. Lawrence O'Donnell from MSNBC, he showed up. He was there. He covered the protest. Okay, great. You also had Amy Goodman, who was also there. I showed her a clip yesterday, okay, where she was there, where she was covering the protests. And actually, she got the footage of the private security goons attacking protesters with pepper spray and dogs. Okay. Now, they showed up, which is great, but why hasn't anyone else? Why isn't this a bigger story? Why isn't this a bigger story? I mean, the oil company is literally destroying these people's history. The tribe's attorney, by a woman by the name of Jan Hasselman, described to Democracy Now! Exactly what happened when it comes to the destruction of their ancient artifacts. On Friday afternoon, we filed some important evidence in the lawsuit about the discovery of some sacred and major culturally significant sites that were directly in the pipeline's route. And it was miles away from where any construction was happening. And we filed this evidence with the court Friday afternoon in order to support our claim that there should be a timeout on construction until some of these legal issues can get resolved. We were stunned and shocked to hear that they took that information and Saturday morning, over a holiday weekend, went out and bulldozed the entire site. The entire site. Bulldoze, gone. They continue. Jan Hasselman continues. We have a sworn declaration from one of the tribe's cultural experts that describes some of these sites. Multiple grave sites and rituals, very important archaeological features of the kind that are not found commonly, and we put all that in front of the court. And the next morning it was gone. The shock and anguish felt by tribal members at this, and the abuse of the legal process is really hard to describe. Now this explains why protesters were very, very angry in that video I showed you yesterday from Democracy Now! Yeah, they were pissed because they're destroying your history. Their history is gone. You can't replace that. These stone cairns, these monuments, these grave sites. You can't replace that shit. Okay? If ISIS had done this, every patriot from here to Alabama would be getting their guns and going, we're going to North Dakota. We're going to kick some terrorist ass. But when an oil company does it, nobody cares. Nobody cares. Well, at least Amy Goodman cares. At least Jill Stein cares. At least Lawrence O'Donnell seems to have cared. But once again, where's Hillary Clinton? Where's Barack Obama? They're not there. They're not there. Why? Because it's the oil companies, man. And I would like it for once if Barack Obama were to get some balls and fight against the corporations on this. Fight against the fossil fuel industry. Take a stand. Side with the people. I remember when you said you were going to get in your walking shoes and go walk with the unions. That never happened. And you can't even stand with the Native Americans. Come on. What they're doing in North Dakota is wrong. Letting private security thugs attack protesters with dogs, pepper spray, for defending water. And there's one parallel that I want to draw here between these two situations. This situation with North Dakota and the situation with Clive and Bundy, right? You remember, Clive and Bundy and his ranchers were out there trying to defend mooching off taxpayer land, letting their cattle graze on land, which they could have, but they had to pay a fee. They didn't want to pay the fee. They wanted to continue mooching. So what happens when they got challenged on it? Through the courts, by the way. The court had already rendered judgments against them multiple times, racking up more fees and fines. The Bundy boys, they brought out the guns. They started pointing them at federal agents. And the media made a huge deal out of it, right? Of course they did. Right-wing politicians got involved. Hannity was over there sucking his ass. Clive and Bundy, and saying, oh my God, Clive and Bundy, you're such a patriot. You're such a goddamn hero for standing up against the government. But you want to stand up against an oil company? Nope, can't have that. Un-American. You guys are the terrorists. Does that seem wrong to you? Way wrong. Look, the truth is these Native American protesters are fighting to keep their water from being contaminated by an oil spill, which will happen. We have pipeline spills all the time. Happens. Now, by the way, the water that would be affected from a pipeline spill, from this pipeline, isn't just theirs, isn't just Native American water. No, this water source goes to 18 million people. And these Native Americans are out there defending that and their sacred sites. It's their graveyards. How would you feel if an oil company started tearing up your graveyard, where your grandma's buried, where your parents are buried, or great grandparents are buried? God forbid, man. You'd be pissed too. What are you doing? What are you doing? No, I'm just trying to get this oil. And if you try to protest, well, we're going to sick dogs on you and mace you. That's exactly what this is. And people don't understand. And this oil company does this, and they get hardly a peep from the media, except from those couple of people that were there, Amy Goodman and Lawrence O'Donnell. And Lawrence O'Donnell, by the way, is the only guy from MSNBC to be out there, which is a huge accomplishment. Now, There's something wrong with this picture.